Gum people. Hey, horsey people. I'm going to probably put this on both channels because I'm going to talk about animal behavior and situational awareness and stupid people. So it applies to both channels. Alright. So here's a poor little buffalo. Home on the range where the deer and the antelope where seldom is heard. Alright. Let's watch the buffalo here, minding his own business. Stupid humans get close. Now, at first glance, it's going to look like... Hang on, I'll let it play.
Oh my god, oh my god!
Okay, so let's see what happened here. What they're not telling people, and what most people aren't going to report, is a crowd of about 50 people surrounded this bull for 20 minutes. And he probably ignored them and said, what are you people doing? Why are you predators threatening me? Why are you making me feel uncomfortable? Bison are not predators. They do not attack. They can be a predator, but let me see if I can get a picture of it. You can tell by this picture their eyes are on the side of their head versus in front, which means they see like horses and other predators, deers or other prey animals. Prey animals have to be able to see because they know they're hunted and they'll get killed. A lot of your grass eaters, bison, buffalo, some people call them buffalo, don't eat meat. So they only eat grasses. So they're grazing animals. They're like deer, cattle, horses. So they usually only attack if they're threatened. Now, a stallion and a horse will attack if he's defending a herd. He's less likely to run. Most prey animals are flight animals. Their first response is to run versus fight. Predators, who have eyes in front of their head like humans, who stare, who have better depth perception so they can hunt and chase things, they see better. So these animals with eyes on the side of their head when they're prey, they don't see as well. And this bison is a stud or a stallion or a male who still has his boys for reproduction. And I think there's evidence of that here shortly. Right there. We see a little evidence of that. Let me go back. La 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 la. Hang on, we're going frame by frame. Somebody, how do you know he's a stallion? How do you know he's not? Okay, I know because of right there. Okay? So, that means he's breeding, and that means he probably has babies that he wants to protect, and he wants to protect his females. Now, they're not showing a large enough view to show if there's others around. And you see a lot of people up here kind of start to walk off. Remember, there was like 50 people that watched and surrounded him for about 20 minutes. That's what they're reporting. Of course, I wasn't there. I'm just reading some reports when I looked up on this. All right, and we'll go to slow-mo here so we can get nice. So he's kind of moving toward them. That's probably a clue. Maybe that's why these people, some of these people started leaving. Of course, the people with the child did not leave. This is a 9-year-old girl. She wasn't hurt that serious. She went to the hospital and she was released. So her injuries weren't as bad as it looks. Kids are pretty resilient, and you know, they kind of heal quick and they don't break as easy as older guys or older people. And here's where he really starts going, and I want you really to pay attention to his tail. With horses, you can watch their ears and they get down and they face you. Most prey animals will keep you on the side and will leave. They'll keep you on their flanks so they can run or kick. But these guys got horns and they'll take you straight on, kind of like a bull will if you mess with them. Most cows will go ahead and leave you alone. But watch his tail. I'm going to go back and I want you to watch his tail action here. And you'll be able to read this guy. Tail's kind of calm, kind of hanging, not showing any like, hey, you better pay attention to me. Watch right before he attacks how this tail immediately picks up. There's a little tail swish, there's a little tail. Now watch how active. Woo, look at that tail. Straight up, going back and forth, saying, I warned you, you didn't see my tail. Now see, people are going to say, well, that wasn't a big enough warning. Well, you know what? other animals would have picked up that warning. Stupid humans who have been taught to just run, notice these people, oh, let's run, and leave the 9-year-old little girl. Remember the old story that if a bear is going to kill you and you run across a bear and there's 2 people, the old joke, me and my buddy walking through the forest, a bear comes up on us, I start bending down and I change my shoes and put my tennis shoes on. He goes, what are you doing? I go, I got to get my tennis shoes on so I can run faster. And he goes, man, you can't outrun a bear. I don't have to outrun a bear. I only got to outrun you. Well, that's the philosophy of these people. They don't have to outrun the bison. They just got to outrun the 9-year-old girl who ain't as fast. So, guess what? And she gets tossed. She does a flip. It looks, I mean, she's pretty high in the air. Somebody going to guess 10, 12 feet maybe? Does a complete, almost lands on her feet. Almost lands on her feet. So, protects her neck and back. They kind of stopped it right after this. I was wondering if he pushed her or stomped her afterwards. If she laid and didn't move, he probably left it alone. If she tried to get up, he might have continued to attack her. But I was kind of surprised that this gets cut right after she hits the ground, and I kind of see him looking like he's going to attack her. And if I go frame by frame here, you can see she almost lands on her feet, and he looks to me like he's turning to get to her. But I can't really tell. Watch the tail. I'm going to go back to full speed. You can watch that tail. Tail, warning, warning. Hey, I told you. Look at that tail. Man, you got to watch animal. Horses will talk with their tails. Cattle. Any prey animal. A deer even will start wagging his tail when it's still threatening or is trying to warn everybody else. If there were any other bison around, they would know that something was up when that tail went up. He's alerting everyone around him. And these people running caught the clue and ran because he charged them. But the little 9-year-old who wasn't as quick, and whoever brought the 9-year-old that close is to blame, not the 9-year-old, and it's not the bison's fault. They're investigating this. Yellowstone, this happened in Yellowstone, they're investigating it. Well, I got news for you. If they try and blame this poor animal and try to kill him, I think it's BS. And I hope people give him hell and riot and damn protest, because this guy did nothing wrong. He was minding his own business. The people who were told to leave the animals alone cornered or circled him and kind of crowded him for 20 minutes. And he put up with it. Probably gave a lot of tail warnings. Probably gave a few glances like, you guys need to give me my space. Don't come up on me. I'm not playing. Now, these guys, their natural predators are lions and panthers and probably hyenas or anything out in the wild, but they usually only attack the old and the young. They don't attack the healthy males. See, humans aren't smart enough to figure out the difference. If this was an old, unhealthy bison, he may not have attacked. If it was a young bison, it may not have attacked. But again, the power of observation and reasoning and deduction has been bred out of society through liberal programming in liberal schools that tell everybody, you have to be tolerant. Everybody is good. You shouldn't judge people. Just because he's a bison and he's a male, you shouldn't judge him. You shouldn't treat him different. He's equal. See, when you get programmed with that ignorance to run around and be a victim, that's how you become a victim looking for a place to happen. And this 9-year-old girl who should have had adults explaining to her how not to be a victim were instead raising her to be tolerant and accepting. And diversity is our strength, because bison is just a diverse another being, and we should be, diverse, and it's our strength. And so you lose common sense. You lose the ability to say, you know what? This doesn't seem right. This seems like it can go bad. I'm in danger. I am not safe here. But there's so many people out there that don't want to think that, because, well, I don't want to judge anybody, and I don't want to, just because it's happened every day, every week for the last 50 years, I shouldn't judge. And you know what? That's when the little girl gets a free helicopter ride by the bison. Going, let me teach you a lesson, okay? This ain't liberal college. This ain't liberal schools. This ain't the area where you think that diversity is our strength and we should trust people and that not all rattlesnakes bite and you shouldn't think that rattlesnakes bite. That's just because what they do. That's not fair. And it's intolerant to come to conclusions. So anyway, bad situation. She was released, not hurt that bad, not a big deal. Hopefully the bison doesn't get blamed, and I'll end that there. On situational awareness, don't follow other idiots into a fire because you'll probably get burnt. And since all these people were standing around watching, everybody thought they were safe. Well, there ain't. All right, we'll end that there.